So we're going to talk about color shifting, and what do I want to say about this? I find that myself, I can be a one-trick pony. And what I mean by that is if I'm used to using one single technique, that's all I ever do. And then other jobs come on and I have difficulty. So I really want you to try to, if you're willing to play along, try to explore on your next job or just for practice and do all of these. Do all of them for the same job and see the result. And I have a theory about this, and here it is. My theory is that if you are willing to try offline, what I mean by offline is not under a deadline. Not when you have a job and your hair's on fire, but you're at playtime. That's when you can learn these techniques. This is very hard to do when the gun's to your head, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? When you've got to really hurry. So my suggestion is to do this offline. So we're going to look at hue saturation, gradient map, camera raw, and channel pulling. All right. Real life case study. This is real life action. This is how it goes. And did I say I was production heavy? I am production heavy. That means what are you going to do? Oh my heavens, and I have to hurry. So for this book title project, this cover design that I had to work on, that much money and about that much time. It happens. Books don't make what they used to, and these are tough. I had literally a 10-minute session with a gal, 4 covers needed, 1 model, and 1 dress. Okay, cheers, 10 minutes. So 35 to 50, did I write how many images? It's something like 35 to 50, and half of them were blurry because I was hurrying so much. 10 minutes is not long. Oh, I'm sorry, that meant her getting into the dress also. Like it was 10 minutes. So here was the job. I had to make them all look different. So they wanted the style. Apparently it's an Edwardian thing and it has to be a very particular style, but they wanted different colors. So this is the approach I took, and I'm going to use this as a sample. So we have a, I'm going to show that pattern in just a second. We have a magenta dress. We have a green dress, pardon me, blue dress. And if we have time, I'm going to show how, I don't know if you can see it on the screen. You may have to trust me. Do you see there's a pattern in there? That's another technique you add to change your files. If we have time, I'll add that at the end. All right, so let's get going on this. It's going to be so much fun. All right. All right, the first technique, which is very ubiquitous, everyone knows about this, but I'm going to talk about it, is hue saturation. So here's the file that we have to work with. She's masked out. We just do this for ease. I just like to have it already masked out. And I need to change her color. So what most people will do, I'm going to go ahead and copy my mask. This is not a masking class, so I don't want to spend time worrying about masking with you guys, if that's cool with you. There are masking classes on Creative Live. So what I've done on this hue saturation is I've simply done a hue shift. And what a hue shift means is you have a master color and you slide over to get a new one. However, and I know you guys know this, it's pretty basic, it's on colorize. Do you see that? So do you see? It's a hue shift and it's on colorize, and you color a bar. It's pretty basic. Now the issue with this technique is, well, everything is colorized. If it's not linked or clipped to it, the whole image is colorized. So if you use this technique, I'm going to put that mask back on it. You have to mask it. Her mask is very rough because I don't need a tight one because I'm going to clip it. Do you understand that? So basic, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. In addition to that, from hue, you can go to color. And what color does is allow the tonal value to show through. I know you guys know this. It's pretty basic, but let's just cover it. So hue, shift, on the mode called color, allows you to see tone. Okay, basic, no big deal. No questions, I'm going to move on. As I said, I start very easy, and then we're going to move to more complicated. All right. I feel the need to explain just a little bit that I have a gal with a separate head, and I'm colorizing underneath that, just so you understand what the layer composition is. All right, on this one, what we're going to do is what we call targeted hue selection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw that color away. Once again, it's that same old, lovely, dyed-in-the-wool hue saturation. colorize with hue. All right. Now on this one, I want to do something different. And what that is when you first start a hue saturation, I feel it's really important because this is one of those little ah-chung moments where folks get a little bit in trouble. When you start a adjustment layer, by the way, I didn't explain that, did I? I am pulling up adjustment layers from the base. We work non-destructively. Just going to close that for a second. Clean my window up for you. All right. I call this a Delta Dawn. What's that flower you have on? This little round thing. I like to sing. And I'm going to hue saturation. If I just do that with my hand up in the air, it doesn't allow me to label it. And you know we have good production skills in this house, don't we? So what we always do is we take our left hand, if we're right-handed, we hold the Option key. And then we pick the hue saturation. And why are we doing this, and why am I beating this poor horse who's probably lying dead in the gutter at this point? Good production techniques. Number one pet peeve I have for working with other retouchers, they do not label their layers nor their adjustment layers. Trust me, you want to label your layers. And as a side note, I often will put a bullet, Option 8, and then write hue saturation, or whatever I want to do to indicate it. Why I put a bullet on that? On Photoshop, do you guys know this fantastic trick? If you hold the Control and the Command key down on a Mac, it will show you all the layers that are visible right there. Do you understand? If you have a work production habit that is so stellar that you put bullets in front of all your adjustment layers, I'm going to know that that's an adjustment layer, not a pixel layer. Trust me, it's good technique. Trust me, trust me. Okay, I'm going to throw that extra one out. All right. Now, as I said, this is a targeted hue saturation. So what that means, targeted, is I need to be on the code for that hue saturation. And I call it the code. People call, I don't know if you guys have any suggestions what you call it. I call it the code because that's the mathematical information there, and that's the mask. And then the other thing you need to be on is you need to be on the targeted picker. Targeted picker. So get on that finger and come on over here to your dress and say, hey, what color is that? And Photoshop is so courteous, it's going to tell you. Now, I would never have guessed that that was cyan. I would have thought that was greens. Photoshop's telling me something different. If I click in a different area, oh, that's green. So isn't that interesting? Photoshop is telling you two different things. Photoshop is telling you that, hey, lady, you got a lot of green in your 3/4 tones, and you have a lot of cyan in your quarter tones, or mid-tones, I should say, for this. So what I'm going to first do is I'm going to go to the green, and I'm going to say, yeah, let's make that a different color. So I'm going to shift that. Can you see that? It's in the shadows. Now, did I say that that was in the shadows? I did. I lie sometimes, but I wasn't lying back then. On the screen, this might be a little difficult, pardon me, to see, but I'm actually changing the tones in the shadows. You can start seeing it come through in the 3/4 tones. And then I'm going to go back to the cyans, because remember it said cyan for this area up here? And now I'm going to change the cyans. I can go green, or I can go more blue. And what happens with this technique is it's more multidimensional. Can we say that? It's almost like split toning. So I'm going to clip it by holding the Option key and grouping it with the mother layer, as I like to call it. So what that means, the masking is being done or controlled by the mother layer, and I hold the Option key and click on the line in between the two layers. So this is the master layer, or the mother, and this is the little baby, and how you know it's attached. Think of it like a papoose. There's a little arrow here that comes down, and the icons have all moved over. So why I did that is now, well, now I don't have to mask it. I mean, I like masking, but I don't want to mask if I don't have to. So we just took that tiny little baby everyday hue saturation and just did something more complicated and not so monochromatic. Okay, and it's called targeted, well, I call it targeted color correction. You can call it what you want. I'm going to switch over to the keynote for just a second. Okay, so for your notes, because you will have these for your notes, I just want to reiterate that what I've done is I've done a common, easy technique, which is hue saturation. And I want to remind you, most people, when they first start out, will do it from the image menu. Please don't. That's destructive. You don't like that. What you want to do is come down to the Delta Dawn, what's that flower you have on? You know you're never going to forget that now that I've signed that. And you're going to pick it from there. And on this one, we did just a master hue shift. It's non-destructive. It's happy. It makes everyone pretty. The next one that I just showed, what we did was we did hue saturation, but targeted. So it's a targeted auto select target adjustment. That's a mouthful, isn't it? You can call it the finger, you can call it whatever you want. And what it allowed me to do is control individual colors. And right here, I want to be really clear. Under here, you can find all your colors. Right here, I never use this. I've never in my entire 25, however years, I don't even know how long it's been here, I've never used the presets. I suppose you can, but I've never touched these. I felt the need to show them too because it's there. All right, so what you want to be is on the master, and I just want to remind you, if you click underneath, you're going to see that there's red, yellow, green, cyan, magenta. You guys good with that? Okay, so let's recap this for option 1. What is it? Basic, method, good, folks use it. Drawback is you have to mask it. Color looks a little flat, okay? Trust me, we're going to speed up here, so don't let me lose you. Second option is the targeted hue shift. Nice little thing for you to see. You'll know that's what it is. You get a richer color shift. Oftentimes, there's no need to mask. Very fast solve, looks more dimensional. So I'm going to put a challenge out there for you guys. Perhaps start looking at this. I do need to put a caveat out there, and I want to point this out right now. It's particularly bad on the screen, not so bad on a printed file. Occasionally what you'll find with images like this and taffeta is you get this weird haloing in the 3/4 tones, the shadows. This technique will not fix that. The colorized, the regular hue saturation normal will get rid of that. So what I do often is I prefer the targeted option, and then I'll put a colorized hue on top of it, put a black mask on it, and just paint it in my problem areas because I want the overall picture to have a richer look.